Good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. This is a church of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faiths, your doubts, your identities, they are welcome here. A special welcome to visitors and newcomers and those of you who are joining us online. Children are always welcome in the sanctuary, and there is a preschool playroom open for young ones and groups for kids following the time for all ages. Our justice partner this month is SMILED, or the Southeastern Minnesota Interfaith Immigrant Legal Defense. This organization does important work, especially now as we endeavor to accompany different immigrant families on their journeys, ensuring the availability of immigration legal services for those who live or work in southeastern Minnesota. You can give as the plates pass or online. Thank you for your generosity. And join us next Sunday, June 23rd, as we gather with our larger UU Fellowship for the General Assembly Sunday morning worship. This will look like gathering here in the sanctuary at 10 a.m. as we view and participate in an online service together. We will sing, we will worship, our hearts will be opened. The GA service will be led by Reverend Molly Hausch-Gordon of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia. And Reverend Ruth assures us that she shares her wisdom in beautiful and meaningful ways. Now, you may be thinking, well, why would I want to come to church to watch something on the screen? That's weird. Well, here are 4 points to consider as you make up your mind. First, it is powerful to experience worship in the broader context of the Unitarian Universalist Association and as a UU faith community. Second, it is always eye-opening to experience another culture of UU worship. Who knows? We may pick up a few new ideas for our own congregation, as well as be affirmed about how we always hold space every Sunday. Third, we will have a wonderful potluck brunch following the service where we'll eat good food, reflect and converse, and share in the warmth and joy of each other's company. And finally, if the potluck didn't sway you, I want to also remind you it's Reverend Ruth's last Sunday with us. So, to recap, next Sunday, June 23rd, bring curiosity for an online worship experience, a dish to share for the potluck afterwards, and come say goodbye to Reverend Ruth for her time as our sabbatical minister. It is sure to be a memorable and special morning. And that brings me to this special morning. Welcome back to Austin Ferguson as he fills in as our guest musician today. It's always good to see you, Austin. Yes. I also want to warmly welcome Reverend Dr. Andrea Johnson for joining us today and leading us in worship. Very nice. Reverend Johnson, thank you for bringing your wisdom and work for racial justice into this beloved community. We are grateful you are here with us this morning. So now, I invite you to take a breath as we enter this sacred space. In the words from our minister in the 1870s, the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes, may our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It is good to be together. In a moment, we will sing our opening hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Lyrics can be found in the gray hymnal or on the screen. But for now, I invite you in body or spirit to rise, give a special wave to those online. Hi, Dad, happy Father's Day. And of course, greet those around you. The music will call us back.
Our chalice lighting words come today from the Reverend Rebecca Savage. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people united in love, thirsting for restorative justice. May it melt away the tethers that uphold white supremacy in our midst. May it spark in us a spirit of humility. May it ignite in us radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly toward our highest ideals.
With gratitude, we will now accept the offering.
children would like to come up, I have a story I'd like to share with you today. Were any of you woken up this morning by some really heavy rain? Did you hear it raining outside? Yeah, did you hear some thunder and lightning? Yes, you think so? Yeah. What is something that you carry with you when it's raining and you go outside to help keep you dry? An umbrella. What if I told you that there is a special type of umbrella that doesn't really necessarily keep us dry from the rain, but it can keep us all together and safe and loved? Do you think that exists? No. No, you don't think so? Well, I'm going to read you a story today, and then after the story, we'll go down and talk about what your umbrella looks like, okay? So today's story is called Why don't you sit over here so you can at least see the screen or the book? Sit down here on the floor so you can see the screen or the book. Because it's much more fun to watch the pictures than just listen to me read. So today's book is by Davina Bell, illustrated by Allison Cowboys. Up in the sky, among the stars, there's something you might not see. What does that look like? An umbrella.
It's called conservation.
But over your head and just above is an umbrella of my love. To show you, I'm thinking of wherever you might be. So even if you're not here, you can see my constellation umbrella. In deepest dark, when big dogs bark, or waves crash loud. Is that a shark? No, it's a dolphin. When friends won't share and things aren't fair, there's always my love umbrella. Are you feeling shy and you don't know why? Forgot your hat and you want to cry? You can't go outside because you didn't bring a hat. That's kind of sad. Remember, I am standing by because of our love umbrella.
Oh, dear.
When everything is strange and new, and on days you might need some super glue, there's so much room here just for you under my love umbrella. If you have a bad dream or you lost a tooth, smashed a toy, or a big worry, if your pants are wet or you're meant to hurry, does that look like any fun? No, not picking up all that cereal. It disappears in a big old flurry under the love umbrella.
No.
Yes. Yes. Whatever you fear, come close, my dear. You're tucked in safe for always here, and I will never not be near, holding our love umbrella. In every type of weather, it is us out there together. My love for you goes on forever. Do you see all the kites? The kites? Or do you think they're balloons? Really? Kites? Kites and balloons? Be still, breathe deep wherever you sleep. You're under my love umbrella. Up in the sky, among the stars, there's something you might not see. But over your head and just above, there's an umbrella of my love to show it's you I'm thinking of. Where are they thinking of you? Wherever you might be. So we're going to go down and talk a little bit about who's in your love umbrella. Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Yeah? You can tell me who's under your love umbrella? Think about it on our way down. Who are you thinking of no matter where they are? Austin will now play the children's benediction. The lyrics can be found on the screen or in the inside back cover of your hymnal.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to be with you. I invite you to settle in here as we create a place of communal caring and connection. It's our time to pause amidst the busyness of our lives, to consider the beauty that is here all around us, and to open a space for listening and love. On this Father's Day, we celebrate all who nurture us in so many ways. Here, we honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Paula Horner, serving as our caring coordinator for the last 2 weeks, arranging care for our members and friends in need. Julie Gilkinson will take over tomorrow for the next 2, and we thank her for that. The members of our caring committee, are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. And life can be challenging. We could all use some extra support with what life throws at us, and if you are experiencing those challenges in your life, we encourage you to reach out for support and help. If you need additional care or personal pastoral care, please reach out to Reverend Ruth, Reverend Luke soon, or myself with that request. In this community, we share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because all people here have value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those who are experiencing sadness, illness, or loneliness. May the strength and love in our congregation help guide you. And we revel in those who are experiencing joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all, and may their joy filter into all around them. After months of various treatment approaches for shoulder pain, Margot Stick will undergo a replacement surgery number 1 this Tuesday. Your thoughts and cards of support are appreciated for a successful surgery and a smooth recovery. And we congratulate Harriet Hodgson, who just received the coveted Indy 2023 Book of the Year Award, winning A Story of Grief and Renewal. The awards are given yearly, and more than 2,400 authors submit books for consideration. Harriet is the author of now 47 published books, and we celebrate with her this honor. Cards of support and well wishes are welcome for all. The Cards of Support list that is compiled weekly contains several members and friends of the church who are experiencing challenges or happy times, and is posted in the entryway of the church, as well as through a link in your e-news. We provide cards and postage and encourage you to leave them down by the basket for mailing. So now, in this shared space, please settle in and breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning, and above you the sky and the stars shining with ancient light, holding you in this space. Yourself made of earth and stars. Sit deeply here in this community of love and justice, hope and grace. Know that here you are named and you are known as beloved. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life, source of love, God of many names and beyond all naming, we hold in our hearts all those who suffer in mind, body, or spirit. I invite you to bring the names you are holding in your heart this day, in joy or sorrow, celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For all those names, spoken and unspoken, may we be held in love and grace. These words of meditation are by Loretta Williams, Affirmation of Hope. We, bearers of the dream, affirm that a new vision of hope is emerging. We pledge to work for that community in which justice will be actively present. We affirm that there is struggle yet ahead, yet we know that in struggle is the hope for the future. We affirm that we are co-creators of the future, not passive pawns. And we stand united in affirmation of our hope and vision of a just and inclusive society. We affirm the unity of all persons. We affirm brotherhood and sisterhood that allows us to touch upon each other's humanity. We affirm a unity that opens our eyes, ears, and hearts to see the different but common forms of oppression, suffering, and pain. Yet we are one in the image of God, and we celebrate our hopes for human unity. Within ourselves and within the gathered community, we will discover the strength not to hide in indifference. Affirming that hope, publicly expressed, energizes and enables us to move forward. Together we pledge action to transcend barriers, be they racial, political, economical, social, or religious. We pledge to make our tomorrows become our todays. May the faith in the Spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
We're now going to sing Building Bridges. The words are on the screen. You probably don't need your hymnals. It's pretty straightforward. If you have not sung this before, I'm going to teach it to you line by line. Once we get the words. There we go. Building bridges between our divisions. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, with all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Let's put that all together. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Just this half of the room. Building bridges between our divisions. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? All of our voices and all of our visions. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Thank you, Rose. Our reading today is an excerpt from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, but it is not the excerpt that is in your order of service. Instead, it is from an essay, The Role of the Church in Facing the Nation's Chief Moral Dilemma, from 1957. Our ultimate end must be reconciliation. The end must be redemption. The end must be the creation of the beloved community. We have before us the glorious opportunity to inject a new dimension of love into the veins of our civilization. The type of love that I stress here is not eros, a sort of aesthetic or romantic love, not philia, a sort of reciprocal love between personal friends, but it is agape, which is understanding goodwill for all men. It is an overflowing love which seeks nothing in return. It does not begin by discriminating between worthy and unworthy people. It begins by loving others for their sakes and makes no distinction between a friend and enemy. It is directed toward both. It is this type of spirit and this type of love that can transform opposers into friends. It is love seeking to preserve and create community. It is the love of God working in the lives of men. This is the love that may well be the salvation of our civilization.
It was the Tuesday before the 2018 Super Bowl, which was to be held in Minneapolis that year, when I received a call from the leader of the Black Visions Collective, wondering if I would be willing to show up for a direct action planned for Super Bowl Sunday. The call was a clear and radical ask. Would we white folks be willing to risk arrest by literally using our bodies and ministerial authority, in my case, as shields, by shutting down the light rail train line into Minneapolis, and by doing so, creating a safer environment for the message of the Black Visions Collective to be centered and heard? As I moved toward responding to this call, it became clear to me that this ask constituted an undeniable manifestation of my Christian roots, calling me to live out Jesus' teaching of loving God by loving my neighbor, and to follow his example of being in solidarity with the least of these. Further, this ask also constituted a clear manifestation of my Unitarian Universalist faith, embraced as an adult, which, as you so well know, proclaims that we all spring from a common source, share a common destiny, and participate in the promise of salvation for all. This inclusive faith of ours, this faith without a creed, this faith responsive to the plight of the least of these, is reflected powerfully in the principles and values of our association. If I truly believe that every person is of sacred worth and dignity, and if I accept that we are all in this together, one human family, one planet, one common destiny, then I am called to embrace my neighbor's full humanity, to listen to their truths and experiences, and to let them shape my soul as we work together to create a world that is worthy of our children's common destinies. After talking with the protest organizer about what would be involved, and consulting with my family and with my congregation where I was interning at the time, I decided to say yes, to answer the call of love and justice that my faith demands. I fully and I hope humbly acknowledge that being with this collective for the 3 days of training that it took to prepare for the action changed me. I now know it is possible to build the world we say we want to build. Because there we were, a multiracial, multicultural, multi-generational group of folks who had never met one another before, but who worked together, followed and trusted Black leadership, and took risks for justice we had never imagined possible. Standing in the freezing cold on Super Bowl Sunday, I was moved to tears by the powerful message delivered by the members of the Black Visions Collective. They demanded that we divest from policing big events for the privileged few, and instead invest in communities of color and trans folks who are in vastly more need than people sitting in the stadium. They demanded that we treat sex workers as victims and end the cash bail system that makes poverty a crime. They promised to continue fighting until Minneapolis is not just safe, but full of joy and possibility. They invited us to imagine a different future where there is a roof over every head, where Black children can dream big and can live free and healthy lives, where Black bodies are not used as currency on the sports field, in prisons, or in wars. As we stood there, arms locked across the rail lines, we also witnessed joy. The Black Visions Collective folks singing, dancing, and demanding full humanity for all. One of the chants that the collective sang that day has stuck with me. It goes like this: "It is our duty to avenge the suffering of our ancestors, earn the respect of future generations, and be willing to be transformed in the service of this work." As I witnessed their fierce and joyful resistance, I chanted with them in my heart. You colonized our home, and we always resisted. You put us in chains, and we always resisted. You exploited our labor, and we always resisted. You took Philando, Marcus, Jamar, and now George Floyd from us, and we always resisted. Following this powerful experience of collective, collaborative, direct action as a UU, I was left thinking about these questions. How might we honor the courage of our ancestors and be worthy inheritors of our faith? And how might we also boldly pass this faith to a new generation? Since I am a theologian at heart, today I want to focus specifically on the theological heritage of our faith that may offer fruitful and life-giving resources for responding to these daunting questions. Now, by theology, I mean something beyond meditating on our smallness in the scheme of things, and more encompassing than the classical definition of theology as simply God talk. Specifically, as a Unitarian Universalist theologian, in my view, theology constitutes critical and creative reflection on the basic principles and values of Unitarian Universalism. Principles and values that are not dogmas and doctrines, but rather diverse teachings, paths, and traditions, as well as the multiple sources on which they draw. As you know, these teachings vary widely. Some are theistic, some humanistic, non-theistic, post-theistic, and even atheistic. Ultimately, though, theology helps ask questions about what is true, untrue, what is right or wrong, what is beautiful or ugly, what is life-giving or death-dealing. Furthermore, rooted in the liberal theological tradition, our Unitarian Universalist theology should help us articulate a sense of meaning and ethical orientation, helping us envision the world we so long to bring into being. Thus, our justice work in particular should be grounded in our theology, our spiritual practices, and our rituals. A critical question for those of us engaged in rigorous theological reflection might become, how does our theological heritage inform our racial justice work? Early Unitarians, in the name of Scripture and reason, rejected the Trinity in favor of the unity or oneness of God, a unity that offers profound connection to divinity. The Reverend William Ellery Channing believed that every person carries a seed of goodness, a divine spark. In his Likeness to God sermon, preached in 1828, he says, "The idea of God sublime is the idea of our own spiritual nature, purified and enlarged to infinity. In ourselves are the elements of divinity. God, then, does not sustain a figurative resemblance to man. It is the resemblance of a parent to a child, the likeness of a kindred nature." So in this passage, I think Channing is trying to tell us that all of us are worthy because we belong to something greater than ourselves that connects us to one another. You can choose to call this God, Buddha nature, the interconnected web, or simply love. Martin Luther King Jr. drew on this inherent understanding of the worth and dignity of all and called this the network of mutuality tied together with one destiny. This theological truth contends that at the heart of our very lives abides a transforming and sustaining love. It is inherent in me and you. This love demands to be made manifest here on earth, and it links us together in an inextricable network of pain, beauty, and hope. In my own theologizing, I name God as the interdependent web of all existence, which calls me to love my neighbor as myself. Bernard Loomer, another Unitarian theologian, writing in the late 1970s, describes beautifully how love works in the interconnected web. He says, "We love because we are interdependent, because we enter into each other's lives. Love does not create our essential interrelatedness. Love is an acknowledgement of it. We love because we are bound to each other, because we live and are fulfilled in, with, and through each other. We love because a failure to love is a denial of the other, ourselves, and our relatedness. It results in a diminution of all of us, including God." I take deeply to heart Loomer's affirmation that love is not something that creates interconnectedness. Love is our acknowledgement of it. Love is the acknowledgement of the oneness we share with our neighbor and the earth. Love is a commitment to expand the depth of our souls, to include everything and everyone. In its ultimate form, love is divine. The commitment to open ourselves to all that is present in our lives and our world, as well as all that is past and all that is possible. Participating in the Super Bowl protest, opening myself up to the grief, anguish, and yes, joy of my Black brothers and sisters was hard at times, but to turn away from loving my neighbor would have meant denying their lived experience as well as our interrelatedness. What does our universalism side of our faith have to say about racial justice? Both our Unitarian and Universalist ancestors recognized that whatever we do or don't believe about God, love makes a profound claim on our lives. American Universalism, like its spiritual sister American Unitarianism, began as a radical and optimistic Christian heresy in response to the grim doctrines of the 18th century Calvinistic Puritanism. In direct contradiction to Puritanism's gloomy gospel of retribution, the early Universalists boldly proclaimed that the essential qualities of God are not wrath, disgust, and judgment, but goodness, mercy, and love. Our Universalist ancestors believed in the simple yet radical idea that God's love was so big and all-encompassing that no one would be left out. No one would be consigned to eternal damnation. In place of Calvinism's doctrine of predestination, Universalists held to the radical idea that all human beings share a common destiny, that division between the saved and the unsaved is non-existent. Therefore, the greatest commandment is to love God with all one's heart, mind, and soul, and to love one's neighbor as oneself. Universalist minister and suffragette Olympia Brown preached that, quote, "the people of all the nations are children of God and must all share in the wealth of the world." Brown also recognized that her faith implied that if we have one God, we are all kindred. Thus, everyone is worthy of our love, and all are sacred. Our Universalist heritage calls us to be a community of love where all are included and no one is left outside the circle. At a time when our nation is deeply divided and our democracy severely threatened, I can think of no better place to put our effort than to commit to building a more just and socially conscious democracy. Drawing on our rich and challenging theological heritage, let us put our faith into action by exerting our moral courage and our ethical power to bring about the political change necessary to continue dismantling the systems that uphold white supremacy. As so eloquently demanded by the Black Visions Collective on Super Bowl Sunday, let us work to create communities where love and justice define the interrelatedness and interdependence of all people. It is precisely this magnificent theological heritage that calls UUs to work for justice in the world. Our belief that each person is sacred and worthy of dignity, and that whatever we may or may not believe about God, we know that love as a way of being makes a profound claim on our lives. Love calls us to build the beloved community together, one body, one human family, and we share a common destiny. When the news of the day includes yet another shooting of a Black man at the hands of police, or anti-Semitic, anti-Muslim hate crimes due to the war in Gaza, we can take refuge in and inspiration from our faith. During these precarious times, we can turn to our faith for strength, hope, and solidarity. We can come back again and again to the message of Unitarian Universalism, to the call for an inclusive welcome and universal solidarity, to the unwavering message that every human being is a child of God, deserving of love, justice, and dignity. It was radical 300 years ago when most houses of worship preached hellfire, division, and damnation, and it is still radical today when we dare to proclaim that there are no other people's children, no other people's fate. Our lives are more deeply interconnected and intertwined than we may ever know. May it be so, and amen. And now will you rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 128, The Fire of Commitment. May we be emboldened by our UU faith to build beloved community within these walls and beyond. Amen.